Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts, the podcast that is specifically here to raise your spirits. I'm your haunted host, Jennifer, a professional medium and a teller of ghost stories. And indeed, I have some spooky stories for you this dark autumn evening. Devils, demons, and even a haunted mirror. Perfect for listening to as you light a few candles and carve a pumpkin or two. I also have a new message from the spirits for someone listening to the podcast. So join me at my seance table for a little bit of spiritualism. This message could be for you. But first, the chills. The spooky stories begin right now. I remember this creepy event still very strongly because it was one of the most scariest moments of my life. I was only about 3 or 4 years old when it happened. I have been told that I was a great sleeper as a child. Never woke up in the middle of the night. I wasn't prone to nightmares or night terrors. I wasn't allowed to watch scary movies when I was young, so you could say I was very sheltered from any kind of scary imagery or negative suggestions for my imagination to run away with. I had woken up in the middle of the night. I don't know why. Looking back on it, there wasn't a reason. I opened my eyes and saw in the darkness that my bedroom door was open. As I focused on the inky blackness of the hallway, I saw a very tall, dark creature with sharp, curved horns atop its head standing in my doorway. It had really creepy red eyes, and it had long, claw-like nails as it motioned to me with its right hand, very slowly, as if beckoning me to come close. It was so dark, but I saw its red eyes very well. I was so young. I thought it was just some monster who tried to scare me, so I tried to pretend I wasn't scared, and I said, very quietly, "Hi, monster." Internally, I was shaking and freaking out. I slowly turned my body away from this devil, and I looked at the wall, and I started screaming for my mom. I called to her a few times and then glanced back at the door, and I saw this devil fading away very, very slowly. I don't remember anything of what happened next. My mom must have come into my room, but the rest is hazy. After that, I told everyone about the monster. No one believed me. Now that I'm older, I'm sure it was a demon or the devil. This experience still terrifies me as I think about it now. I was a teen when this happened to me. 3 months after my family moved into a new home, as I was turning off the lights, I saw a dark figure running from the kitchen towards the living room. I didn't hear any footsteps with the shadowy movement, so I tried to dismiss what I saw as my imagination playing with my perceptions while turning off the lights. But the next night, as I turned off the kitchen lights, the same thing happened. I couldn't dismiss it a second time, and I was scared. I told my mom about it, and she said that it was all in my head. 2 nights passed without incident, and then, in the middle of the night, I was woken up by a warm breath on my face. I didn't have the courage to open my eyes, and eventually the breathing stopped. I slowly opened my eyes, and to my horror, I could see a dark figure with a tail and horns above me on my ceiling. I was scared to death. I couldn't move or shout. Then the figure simply disappeared. I went to my parents' room to sleep, and they scolded me for being afraid and for making things up. From that night forward, I slept with the lights on in my room. And after I went to sleep, my mother would come in and turn the lights off. One night, I awoke to a dark room, so I left my bed to turn the light back on. As I stood, I could see the figure with the tail and the horns at the foot of my bed, staring at me. I ran to my parents' room. The next morning, I insisted to my mom that we have the house blessed. Reluctantly, we called the family priest, and to everyone's surprise, the priest refused to enter our house. He said he could sense the presence of something supernatural with negative power, and he did some rituals and a blessing from the sidewalk. To my relief, ever since, there's not been a new sighting of that dark figure. We were planning a trip to stay at my grandmother's house that my father had spent a large amount of time in as a kid. Dad managed to drive 17 hours straight to make the visit happen. Understandably, he was tired after the drive. My siblings and I all started to tuck in for the night, and my father checked in on us before going to bed himself. As he was talking, he stopped himself and pointed to the large mirror in the room and told us to cover it or, quote, "You'll have nightmares." Now, nightmares from a mirror of all things sounded a little fun to me, but my brothers, who were also sleeping in the same room, asked me to cover it. So I did. The next day, I asked my dad about the mirror, and he said ghosts use it as an entryway. A week later, I brought it up with my grandmother, and she scoffed, saying, "Oh, this house isn't haunted." I agreed, but I told her that the reason I brought it up was because my dad told me to cover the mirror. My grandmother then changed her expression and said, "Oh, the mirror." Apparently, that mirror came from her grandmother. She had worked as a nurse and had taken in those who could not pay for care during their last days. So, she had made her home into a hospice. In a hushed tone, she admitted to me, those who stayed in that room with the mirror saw things. A lovely old lady saw and heard a young woman come into her room and play the harp. She was thankful for the lovely songs, but no person was known, nor was there a harp owned or heard anywhere else. A young boy found an older boy who played games with him and had remarked that he really knew his games. Lastly, a terrible woman who argued and had issues with everyone daily had a visitation, and her own words were that the devil had spat fire at her. She had even called the police and tried to accuse my grandmother of trying to kill her with the devil. My mother also claims to have seen the same young lady who played the harp. and my grandfather admitted once had seen, quote, that devil guy. My grandfather described him as a red man with horns that was too tall for the room and had to bend his neck down as it was taller than the ceiling height. The devil figure had stared down at him with piercing eyes and simply asked, "Why are you here?" During the rest of the visit, I kept that mirror covered. Spooky season is upon us. Listen to I Talk to Ghosts for an atmospheric chill and to never feel alone, knowing the spirits are always around you. The autumn months are the perfect time to share and recommend this podcast to your ghoulish friends. Thank you for supporting the podcast and sharing the spooky. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. I have a message from the spirits this evening, so thank you for joining me tonight. As I work in this session, I have with me Black Moonstone. Black Moonstone shares the same compassionate and loving energies as regular moonstone. It's also a wonderful aid in helping you explore spirit realms and higher consciousness. That's Black Moonstone. At this time, I quiet my mind, open the space for a spirit to come close. There's a feeling of sadness coming in with someone's grandfather. He's showing me in life he was rather strict and abrasive. He was just hard to know. You and your sisters dreaded seeing him, and in life you really didn't relate to each other very well. Yeah, I'm getting this feeling of sadness and regret on both sides of this, that you wish things had been different, and he has that perspective now that he wishes he was different. I'm seeing the game Monopoly. Was there a joke that your grandfather looked like the somber character who was in jail on the Monopoly board? This could be symbolism, but this feels like an actual story within your family. I'm seeing you flying a kite when you were younger. This leads me to think that there was a park or a field near his house, and it was just great to go out and play and avoid the whole situation entirely. I hope these details reach the person that they connect with, because his message for you tonight is he is guiding you to let your creativity and your intuition help you build the life that you dream of. And I know that doesn't sound like something he would have said in life, but this is the message he has for you now. You and your two sisters have very unique personalities amongst the three of you, and he wants you to recognize your strengths and use your personalities and interests in heart and spirit to your advantage to really help shape the lives that you want. And he loves that you support each other, and he's very proud of you. He's proud of all of you. He's saying any limitations, any limiting beliefs that you've picked up when you were younger that don't fit in your life and only hold you back, just dismantle it and live fiercely, live with a big heart, live for each other, all your loved ones in your life, and just celebrate it. I hope this message reaches you, because there's just so much passion and energy and encouragement that's coming through with it. And again, I know you wouldn't recognize this coming from him, but you'll recognize him from the details I shared earlier. Know that his soul has just broken wide open, and he's glowing with energy and love for your family and the experiences and potential that is there to live. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I hope this message finds you well, and if it does connect for you, please reach out because I would love to know. Thank you. Would you like a free spirit reading with me and record your reading for the podcast? Sign up for your chance to be selected by visiting italktoghosts.com/guest. And as an added bonus, if you don't want to leave your reading up to chance, I'll let you in on a secret. There's a discount offer to book a private session with me, so you can book a date and time for certain. Visit italktoghosts.com/guest for more details. And with that, dear listener, we've reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed the spirit work I shared with you at my seance table, as well as those spooky, creepy stories that were perfect for this autumn evening. Have you ever had an experience similar to the ones I shared? Please reach out. I would love to hear your story. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.